You need to have 52 different skills to complete one film, even if it's an ad film of 30 seconds, to take it from ideation to script to two different processes and specialists required to deliver that. Somebody is a script writer, somebody is a modeler, somebody is a rigger, somebody is a storyboard artist, somebody is a layout artist, somebody is a compositor, somebody is a sound designer, somebody is a lip sync expert. Because in all characters, whether it's dinosaur, dog, or a cat, all of them have human expressions. All of them talk, it makes it so much more difficult. The fact is that all of them in our business are freelancers, and that's why the films are not made in Mysore or in Bilaspur or in Ranchi or in other places. They're only made in the cities like Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, Hyderabad and Bangalore, because the ecosystem is existing there, that these people with their specialties are housed into these cities and they are in the vicinity to be called on a contract basis. Now these are all people who have actually come from traditional art forms. Many of them have never gone to school. There was no formal education till recent past, and whatever little formal education in one or two institutes were there, we only had a certificate and a diploma program. We never had formal degrees. It is just started. But they come to you, they deliver choreography, they check and they go away. And they are subjected to 18% tax of GST, which is actually a burden on them because they don't have an offsetting mechanism. At the same time, when we do the work for the foreign countries, we also have 18% GST, which needs to be rolled back later on, but it becomes a hurdle in your cash flows because most of the projects work on a very tight budgets, and it's a creative process. In manufacturing of cars or any other thing, it actually works with people or managing machines. In our case, we have people who are directors, managing people, managing a whole lot of creativity. So the control is very fragile. And that's why what comes out at the end of the day depends on how do you really do it in the physical form. AI is of course taking over every single process, is taking over things horizontally. And what we need to do right now in our country is to allow people to tell their stories and populate the global digital ecosystem and the global digital economy with Indian storytelling and build our orange economy to the robust form, because we are formally some of the best storytelling that we can be, because we have been telling stories in more than 23 languages in this country for several years. We understand what it takes to tell and what are the do's and don'ts, like many other countries still don't understand that. At the same time, we have the population and amazing stories that can do well globally, including the cuisine of India, dance forms and the folk forms. And these are the ones I like to see. And if you look at the last 40 years, outsourcing has been taught to this country by people who build the IT industry. We fortunately form a part of IT-enabled services, animation, gaming, visual effects, and comics. The challenge is that the outsourcing started in animation way before IT understood what outsourcing is, and it started as early as 1966 to 1970, where Japan outsourced it to Korea, US outsourced it to Philippines and Korea. We missed the bus at that point in time. But this is the time, there's a combination of services and combination of indigenous IP, intellectual property, that needs to be covered by strong, and using AI to its fullest, keeping in mind the copyright issues. As an industry, we will take your help to work upon it and make sure that we have a regulation for metaverse and regulation for gaming and regulation for ecosystem will be able to save their IP and build on the IP like many countries like Japan and US did historically. It gives me a great pleasure that I had this opportunity to share this story with you. I hope you all will think over this. We are ready to come in whatever length, because what is deprived to the Indian kids, we don't want them to be deprived anymore, and we want Indians to tell the stories, and we want them to tell your stories to the global ecosystem in the digital format. So happy storytelling, and thank you so much.
So ಏನು ಟಿ ಕೆ ಎಫ್
Wasn't this session itself a
ನಾಲೆಜ್
masterclass in
ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್
storytelling?
ವತಿಯಿಂದ
If
ನಡೀತಿರುವಂಥ
you agree, let's give
ಅವಾರ್ಡ್
Mr.
ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್.
Kulkarni a big round of applause, please. And now we move to a subject that is central to every taxpayer's confidence in the system, and that is effective dispute resolution. Coming up next to take the session forward is an officer of Indian Revenue Service with over 3 decades of distinguished service, someone who's held key leadership roles across customs, GST policy formulation, enforcement, including serving as the Chief Commissioner of CGST and Customs. And currently serving as the GST AT, he's at the forefront of adjudicating complex tax disputes, bringing together legal precision, technical expertise, and administrative clarity. He will be talking on the very important issue of GST AT, a ray of hope for taxpayers. Ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege to be inviting onto the stage Shri S.K. Rahman, member of GST Appellate Tribunal, Chennai.
Keep it alive. Thanks a lot. Esteemed participants, dignitaries, seniors, people from various walks of life, very good afternoon to all of you. It's very uncommon for a member of a GST Appellate Tribunal to come and deliver a lecture about GST 80, but I have taken this initiative on the request of Shri Shailendra and the bonding that I have with Tax India Online. Let me go ahead. Today's topic that they have said is that GST Appellate Tribunal, a ray of hope for taxpayers. So I'm going to present about GST Appellate Tribunal from the point of view of taxpayers. First thing is that all of you must be aware, when GST has started in 2017, the Appellate Tribunal was not there. Almost for 7.5 years, there was no Appellate Tribunal. In result, what happened was, against the orders of First Appellate Authority, things started piling up at the High Courts. And High Courts had a huge burden to dispose them. There was an overload for the High Courts. Overload makes for the honorable judges not to get into details. And most of these appeals are writ appeals. They are not on merits. So there was no scope for the honorable judges of High Court to get into the merits of the case and to discuss more about the violation of fundamental rights rather than merits of the case or facts of the case. In fact, it is very costly for MSME people to approach High Courts. And also, it is a fact to inform that with due respect to honorable High Court, there is a different orders coming from different High Courts interpreting the same in a different manner. So afterwards, the GST 80 has come, all of you are aware. We are spread all over India, unlike the sister IT 80 and SESTAC. We are having around 28 states plus 3 union territories with legislature. And we have around total around 45 locations, as you can see. All over India spread length and breadth of the country. Each state minimum is having 1 or 2 points that I have shown in here. Out of these 45 locations, we have around 24 regular benches, and 8 sitting benches. Sitting means, let's say Tamil Nadu, there is a bench at Chennai, there is a bench at Madurai and Coimbatore. So one division bench at Madurai, one division bench at Coimbatore. Then we have 13 separate benches where we go and dispose the cases before we come here. So when I talk about GST 18, how it is taxpayer friendly is that first you have to understand its powers. Powers in the sense that power is something that will be utilized for the justice of the taxpayer. So as you are aware, fundamentally, as per section 113, the GST 18 when you go is the second stage appeal. It can confirm an order, it can modify an order, it can annul an order, it can remand back the order. In fact, it can even enhance the assessment. It can even reduce the refund or ITC amount. More than that, I wanted to say that when you do the pre-deposit of 10% before first appellate authority and balance 10% here, that means almost 20% you have already deposited. That means for the 80% is automatic stay. And this particular pre-deposit that you are doing, please remember that in case the taxpayer gets an order in his favor, entire amount from the date of deposit to the date of refund will be refunded to you along with interest. So this is a fact that one has to understand. 30th June is the last date. Not many people are filing thinking that their money will be locked up. Well, please remember that it is refunded back with interest. And 2 or 3 things are there which one has to appreciate that in case in the appeal memorandum you are not filing all grounds. In case some other grounds you want to take up during the arguments, you can take up. And in case you want to have some fresh evidence to be submitted before appellate authority which was not there in the original, that can also be taken up. That's the beauty about this. And whenever there is a de novo proceedings, in the proceeding both facts as well as the law points, both will be considered. And additional powers I want to mention, saying that it has powers to pass interim orders, it can even give directions and stay to the lower adjudicating authorities, it can recall its own orders in case something is found to be totally wrong or fraud or some misrepresentation happened, it can impose costs, on the defaulting party as may deem fit. Rule 11 rule, I am quoting the rule, R means rule of GST procedure rules. Okay. Then it can even order for rectification of its own order. It can have the powers of civil code under section 111. So thereby, when you do some facts are submitted and it has to be under affidavit, if something goes wrong, as usual, you know it very well what is the implications. I also want to mention about the GST is the final fact-finding authority. Please remember this. GST will be final fact-finding authority. Beyond this, you can only appeal on substantial question of law. That is the importance of GST order. So when you argue case, when you present the case, you have to understand further facts cannot be disputed. And you must be also aware, in case the order is issued by the principal bench, directly it goes to Supreme Court. It doesn't even go to High Court. Direct to the Supreme Court. And I also want to say that there is a section which says that in case GST order comes and after this, even if you have filed an appeal, notwithstanding that your appeal is pending, sums are due to the government shall be paid. The government has power to realize from you, even if you have filed an appeal, unless there is a stay. And the other side, from the taxpayer's point of view, in case department loses an appeal and it files an appeal before GST 80, the department cannot enforce on the basis of the first appellate order or their own order in original. And in case it says something in favor of the taxpayer, and the department is bound to refund back or pay back whatever is the due amount to the taxpayer. Now there are 2 things called principal bench and state bench. One has to have a clear clarity of thought. In what cases I should appeal to principal bench? Order of GST 80, you have to go directly to Supreme Court, or in what cases I have to approach to state bench, where against the order of the state bench order I have to go to High Court. It has been mentioned in the section very clearly that in case one of the issues involved is place of supply, you have to go to principal bench directly. Plus, there is also by notification, the Honorable Principal Bench has added some more areas which I have listed out here. One is ISD issues, OADR issue, then you know very well anti-profiting that has been winded up given to them, advanced ruling authority, that is AAAR order. In case you want to appeal, you have to go to them. And also, very important, kindly note that there is an identical question of law. If it is pending before more than 2 benches, then if President is satisfied, then it can be heard, it shall be heard by the principal bench. That means you know very well GST structure for taxpayers. If you are having multiple prison, you will have multiple registrations. Every state you have a separate GST registration. In case you have a same issue pending for more than two benches of two different states, then you can always make an application to the Honorable President. If President is satisfied, he shall be heard only by the principal bench. Then what remains to the state bench? You are well aware. Anything other than this remains to the state bench. That is, you can talk about demand, ITC, classification, valuation, refund, penalty, anything. Even IGST. And IGST also appeals are heard, excepting place of supply issues, and geographical location has already been given, but which state bench you have to go, and their parties can file, department can file, parties file APL 05 and department files APL 07. Now within a bench is defined as 4 members, 2 judicial members, 2 technical members. Now within a bench, there can be cases where the single member bench can hear, a single member, a member technical or member judicial can sit and dispose the cases, or there are cases where the divisional bench has to hear. The divisional bench consists of 1 judicial member and 1 technical member. So which cases go to single member, you should know very well. Single member goes where the disputed amount is less than 50 lakhs and not all, and where question of law is not involved. So nature of issue is only factual, or let us say it doesn't involve question of law, then it will go to single member bench. And in case you make an application, it is up to the president to allot it to the single member bench. In case in between the hearings, if it is realized by the bench that it is involves question of law, then he may make a reference to the vice president of the state bench, he transfers it to the divisional bench. Suppose there is issue already decided with the divisional bench, then obviously even if irrespective of monetary limit, it will continue to be decided by the divisional bench. I have made a list both of it here, and I have also made it very clear about rule 110A. Here rule, when I mention it, is the CGST rules of 2017. I have even given an example. So one has to have clarity whether your case is going before single member or is going to the division bench. Now coming to the point, when they say question of law involved, this becomes a very difficult question. It is easy to answer where question of law is not involved. When question of law involved is, I don't know which appeal, there is no question of law involved. So that's why I just made an attempt to give it to you, and I am not making an official statement as member of GST Appellate Tribunal. As an individual, I am just, my interpretation is as follows, saying that when question of law is means this, where interpretation of act rules are there, where legal things are being tested, where jurisdiction is being demanded, procedural legality is being done, classification dispute, where wrong legal principles are there. Then what is question of fact, where single member bench can decide? It's only about where goods are actually cleared, but he has not raised invoice, or where invoice is raised, but goods have not gone, where the services were actually involved or not, where the genuine payment has been done. These are the cases when probably single member bench can take. Again, coming to timing limits, because these timing limits are very, very important. I am not here to teach you the procedures here, but I wanted to just alert to you that for a party to file a appeal, it is 3 months from the date of communication of order. Again, date of communication order, don't go by 116 section. Please go from the date you received order. From the date you received order, 3 months. Department appeal, they have 6 months to file. And generally for condonation, it's only for 3 months. I will come in detail to you. In case there is any objections that has to be raised, meaning if the order has come in favor of party, department has gone, or vice versa, order has come in favor of the department and party has gone in appeal, the person who has not filed an appeal can also file cross objection. That is to be filed within 45 days, extendable by 45 more days. Then condonation of delay, as I mentioned to you, it is 3 places. But most important is the pre-deposit payment. The pre-deposit payment, generally mistakes are done with regard to calculation. So one should not do that pre-deposit calculation mistake, and document preparation is important. Appeal filing one has to do, and condonation they have to limit themselves. So I just made a very simple thing to you to remember 330. That is 3 months from the date of communication order, and 3 months condonable period only if sufficient cause is being shown. And Supreme Court also, they want to extend it for, GST at least is a creation of statute, and we don't have power to extend beyond 3 months. And in fact, there was a staggering order that was issued, and now it has been changed into those appeals which have been received, first appellate order orders. If they have been received prior to 31st March, then you will have to file compulsorily by 30th June 2026. So that has been mentioned here. So that is why not many appeals are filed till now. People are still waiting that they can file appeals. And please remember, when you count the limitation period, you have to saying that it is 3 calendar months. It is not 90 days. Please remember that, and in case the last day falls upon a holiday, then you get one more day. Beyond 4 to 6 months, you should have sufficient reason. Beyond 6 months, we don't have anything. It's not only imposition on the taxpayer appellant, it is also on the department. It's also on the GST. In GST, the section is saying
So
that
not the
GST shall dispose
TKF.
to the as far as possible, may dispose
So
as far as
ಏನು
possible within 1 year.
TI
The says, and hopefully it is binding upon the
enriching
GST members also. Now here I also want to say the expansion that has happened with respect to authorized representatives.
2026
Earlier
award
there used to only advocates who used to
function,
argue
not
before
Meerut
appellate
Shawri.
tribunals. Now I wanted to say that here even the employee or relative of the taxpayer also can appear. Here advocates can appear. Here chartered accountants can appear. Here new set of professionals have been given an opportunity to argue. Chartered accountant, cost accountants, company secretaries, a retailed officer, or even authorized GST practitioner can appear. Who cannot appear, I have already given it to you. And when the abatement of appeal happens also, I mentioned it to here. Here, one aspect you have to remember, if a party, taxpayer, files an appeal, after receipt of that, the respondent can file a reply within 1 month. That will be also taken on record. After respondent, as per rule 36 I have shown you. After respondent files a reply, if the original party which has filed appeal can file a rejoinder also. And apart from that, there is a provision where you can file intercalator application, the miscellaneous application also can be filed. As I have already mentioned to you, cross objections can also be filed. Now coming to the monetary limit, this is very, very important from the point of taxpayer. You should know whether GST, if a case is argued, whether department will go further appeal or not. So if they want to go to High Court, it should be above 1 crore, the disputed amount. If they want to go to Supreme Court department, then it should be above 2 crores. Most important is that department will not file an appeal if an amount involved is less than 20 lakhs. Please remember that. They will not come to GST if it is there. Whereas there is no such limit for taxpayer. There is only one thing that is mentioned, that if the amount involved is less than 50,000, GST may have discretion to not to entertain the appeal. And here I wanted to say this exception does not allow, these monetary limits do not apply in 4 cases. Those are constitutional validity, ultra virus, when there is adverse comment, when there is recurring issue. Now I'll come to present what I am saying. The basic, please understand that my purpose of coming here is to basically make you convinced to say that, to instill confidence that GST is here to give swift and fair justice. Even though I was ex-departmental officer, now I am part of the GST, I am member. I am neutral equally to the department as well as to the taxpayers. And we are here not to just dispose. We are here to render justice. Make my words, we are here to render justice. We are not just going to say that, okay, fine, let's all dispose the cases, then see later. One has to understand that every party, whether small, big, every person, whether he is a big advocate or small advocate, will be heard and his rights will be protected. In fact, a methodology I want to give you confidence that it's going to be most by digital, online filing, every document is online filing, and hearing is also by default physical, but in case you want by virtual mode also it can be done. What we are planning, at least me, I am planning to do at GST at Chennai bench is what I want to share. I'll say that single member benches, because we have up to 50 lakhs. 4 people are there in the bench, as I mentioned, 2 judicial, 2. So we will try to dispose as many cases as possible, which are less than 50 lakhs with question of law involved. And I'm also going to look for, in case there is any covered case, in case already the decision has been done by the Supreme Court, High Court, then I would like to take up the covered cases and simply say that it's already decided we can do. I'm also thinking of doing the bunching of appeals. That is, if an issue is involved, same for the same taxpayer over a period of time, or for a particular ordering original or a particular show cause notice. Let us say there are multiple notices. Notice 1 against tax plus penalty is demanded, notice 2 only penalty is demanded, notice 3 only penalty is demanded. Each one will file separate appeals. What we are trying to do is we are going to bunch all of them, here party by party, dispose the order by giving multiple numbers. That's what we are planning to do it, bunching of appeals. In fact, as I mentioned to you, if an issue is pending for more than one state, if already, let's say, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, if Kerala has already taken a decision on that, so obviously that is going to have bearing upon Chennai when we sit and hear the case. So multiple state issues also will take. In fact, issues where huge amount is involved are going to become a bigger case law. So I'm just looking forward for such kind of things where we can do that. In fact, our Honorable President has broken up GST 80. He has given, like I mentioned to you here, he says G stands for growth, S stands for speed, T stands for transparency, A stands for accountability, and T stands for technology driven. This he has mentioned on the day of inauguration, I think on 24 September 2024, in front of our Honorable Finance Minister. And here the IT angle, GSTN is our backbone, plus NIC. What they have done is an excellent mechanism they have done. This is the only tribunal in the country which from the day one is completely digital. Thanks to GSTN, Sinha sitting here, and thanks to NIC, it has given 24/7 filing. There's nothing called you have to go take your papers and file it into the registry and come. Right from your home, anytime, Saturday, Sunday, holiday, you can file. It is GSTN integration. If you have to do registration, if you are already having SSO ID, if you are having already a registration on GST portal, you will be having, then the same thing will be applicable out here. It's the digital cause list. Cause list is also automatically updated. At any time you can see live position of which case is happening in which court also you will be able to see. It is a smart courtrooms. In fact, we have been asked to sit before the desk and see our documents and write our own notes there on the system using the pen and all that. And those notes that we make is visible only to us. And I have already mentioned to you, virtual hearings are possible and orders are also going to be only digital orders. There is no physical copy that is presented, digital order will be available. And last but one slide I wanted to say, I know the time is over, but still I wanted to mention to you, for every stakeholder, please remember, for every kind of stakeholder, not only revenue department or to the appellant, everything they have got. One is the speed and finality. The speed at which it is going to operate. For principal bench it has already started, Delhi state bench already started operation. We are at Chennai, we are just about to start the operation. Is the speed at which is going to operate is much better than many of the honorable high courts. Like you can see in ITAT and SESTAT. And second thing is that accessibility. As I mentioned to you, we are available at 45 locations in India. 45 locations in India. Any person can file, appear. You don't have to go to like unless SESTAT, they have only located 6 places. People have to travel across and do. And you can appear utilizing the virtual hearing, leveraging the technology. Lower cost, obviously, it is going to be lower cost when compared to the high court. It's going to be decided both on facts and law. That's the greatest advantage here. Then you can also see that when there is a uniform jurisprudence, meaning in the sense that when there is a, let's say, issue is being decided by the state adjudication order, first appellate of that also state, it will come to the GST. Central government's method of handling is different. There is adjudication by central government, a first appellate also central government, but at one place it will come and stand. That is GST. There is a convergence of both state method of handling and central method of handling. That's why I said uniform jurisprudence. I said multiplicity can be avoided here regardless whether it is central or state, and you are having both technical member and judicial member. Judicial members will focus more upon, because of their experience, some of them are high court judges, retired high court judges are there, many of them are retired district judges are there. They will give their expertise with respect to judicial aspects, and we technical members will not miss even a particular rule, section, whatever is that, we'll take care of that. And also we'll have to say that one big point you have to note down is that there is a new set of professionals for whom it has been done. GSTAT, you have to practice, CAs, tax professions can appear. In fact, our Revenue Secretary on the day of inauguration has mentioned about 3 S. S stands for structure, the structure with which it is built up all over India. S stands for the scale, with scale it is operating with a strong technology driven background, and S stands for the synergy. What is the synergy? Synergy to us. In fact, on 20th January, Principal Bench, our Honorable President, has said that in case you file an appeal, defects will not be, if it is a serious defect, it will be taken. That is submission of 5-6 document. If it is a minor defect, our Honorable President has already given an order in writing, so that it will ignore, appeal may be admitted. That's what I mentioned here. STN generated documents are there, you don't have to enclose. You don't even have to take a copy, sign it and enclose, unlike the courts that we do, unlike the tribunals that we were doing earlier. Here it is, automatically it is taken. In case you are giving some scanned references, then only you have to say. I mentioned that here everything is auto-populated because we are integrating GST. Whatever order in original is there, whatever Chokal notice is there, whatever first appellate authority is there, automatically populated. When you file an appeal also, April 05, you don't have to fill up anything. Much of the data is auto-populated, it comes to us. I mentioned it here, all the details that are available to you, and I hope I have done the justice. Maybe I have exceeded a few minutes, kindly forgive me on that. And wanted to say and summarize, it's really a ray of hope for taxpayers, and as you can see, GST started with saying that one nation, one tax, one market. Today, I will say that one nation, one forum for the fairness and justice. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sri S.K. Raman. I think that was a very exhaustive presentation and gave a complete overview of the appellate tribunal and the many facets of it. Thank you so much, Sri S.K. Raman, for taking us through that. And now we're moving on to a very important topic of GST irritants and the need for innovation. Now here we're turning to a topic which resonates strongly, I'm sure, with practitioners as well as the industry alike. With extensive experience in indirect taxation, coming up next is a speaker who will bring with him a practitioner's perspective on the challenges that are within GST and the pressing need for innovation and simplification to deal more out on GST irritants and the need for innovations. Let us all welcome onto the stage the managing partner at Swami Associates, Shri Jay Kumar.
Good afternoon, friends. Tax India has been one of the forums where always the gallery is more distinguished than the dais. I'm very happy even that even this forum is like that. Thanks, Shail, for giving me an opportunity. I was just thinking of all the speakers. We had seen an array of speakers. We have seen so many wonderful speakers, so many wonderful titles. Why my topic alone with a bit toxic? GST irritants. Everyone is talking positively, AI, sustainability. Lordship was talking about SESTAT. Why when it comes to Jay Kumar it should be GST irritants? Is it because of my caustic approach every time? I don't know. But anyway, GST, with so much of promise was launched in 2017. We were all happy with the VAT, we were all happy with central excise, we were happy with the service tax, we were happy with any other tax law. But with so much of promise, this GST was launched as if that is going to be the next revolution. We had a green revolution, we had a white revolution, we had, and this jokingly I will call this as a saffron revolution. Why this alone being criticized even after 9 years? Why we are not talking about, why the topic was not given to me? That GST is a wonderful scheme. The benefits or the wonderful things it has happened, it has brought to the table for the past 9 years. Instead, why I have to be given this topic of GST irritants? Is it so? Is it actually so? Let's see. As I said, GST was a promise. At the end, we'll see whether the promise is still a promise. What are the few promises we'll take it? They said there will not be checkposts. Yes, they eliminated all the checkposts. There's no checkpost. But every road corner has become a checkpost today. My vehicle, till it reaches the destination, is not sure whether it is going to be delivered at the right time for some even clerical faults, and when it is going to be across country, when I want to ship it from Tamil Nadu to say Agartala, going to be so many of checkposts and I mean, so many cases we have. Lordship was rightly saying that high courts are saddled with so many cases today on writ petitions. On what? On such trivial issues. That was a promise given to us that there will not be a checkpost, it will be a seamless flow. Is it a seamless flow? I doubt. The biggest joke is something they said. GST is going to iron out all the frickles and it's going to give you all credit seamlessly. Cost is going to come down because everything is going to be given as a credit. Is it so? Today, the maximum number of disputes, Lordship will be seeing in few days, or rather 2 months, tons of appeals are going to be filed on ITC issues. Why this? When you promised that this is going to be a revolution, this is going to be a revolutionary change, GST, is it not that you should fall into the line or the scheme or the spirit of ITC, that credit should be given if the final product has to be tax paid? It is only to iron out the cascading effect. Anyway you have taken credit, anyway you have taken the tax in the first place. What is stopping you to give the credit? Where are we proceeding? The complete reverse gear. The ITC scenario in GST regime has become the worst ever reverse gear I have ever seen. So many stoppages, so many bottlenecks. When the tax is paid and it is going to be the part of the cost of my final product, is it not that is the spirit of the entire
ಸೊ
taxation?
ಇದಾಗಿತ್ತು ಈ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ನೇರ ಲೈವ್ ದೃಶ್ಯಾವಳಿಗಳು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
Till date you have provisions to stop. So